What is the most important lesson you can learn in the human realm? In the human realm. That's a tricky question. The most important, her question is, what is the most important lesson you can learn in the human realm? Love, right? You say love, right? Well, sorry?
She says animals know how to love also.
Animals know how to love also, is saying, what's your name? Angel. So, yeah, a bhakti will tell you, look, a bhakti yogi will tell you love, right? So I'm not a bhakti yoga, so I should say something different.
Well, you get to say that to learn that there's no lessons.
Right. So I prefer to answer the question not from a theoretical perspective, but from what has transpired in this lifetime, meaning what was the lesson that for me was most important here in the experience until this moment. It's not complete. This organism is 62 years of age, so it may go for some time, may go on. So there could be higher lessons to learn, but I would say that the most important, most changing, life-changing experience here was awakening, by far. And by that I mean that the persona and the ego structure were seen through as not me, and that actually what was seen in the awakening was that I don't exist, not in the way that I thought, and it was kind of surprising, but that actually you are awareness, pure awareness, also is undifferentiated. It's just pure consciousness peering through the body. And there is a mind-body organism, but the me and the I is a story of the mind. And the so and so. So for that created here a shift that was and has been of immense proportions and very liberating. Nothing else did that. I was in psychology also, was more than 20 years doing psychotherapy at that moment, and I had learned so many things and healed quite a few things, and 30 years in the spiritual path or more, but nothing came even close to the effect that insight, that seeing had. And up to today, 5 years later, after the awakening, I would say nothing has transpired during these 5 years that could beat that either.
Would you mind sharing your awakening experience?
Right. So her question is if I mind to share my awakening experience. No, it was very simple. In fact, it was so deceptively simple that for some time I was doubting that it had happened. But when it happened, I realized that the insight that had occurred was of immense significance. And you will see immediately why. Basically, I had been in sessions with a teacher, a non-dual teacher, for quite some time. The reasons I was paying for these sessions, one-on-one, was because I went to a retreat with a teacher called Adyashanti, and in that retreat, Adyashanti said that he believed that in the tradition that he had followed, they believe in the transmission one-on-one from teacher to student, right? So when he said that, I said to myself, That's the only thing I haven't really tried. I had tried so many things to wake up, right? It's the only thing I have not really tried. So when I came back to Los Angeles, I began to look for a teacher that could help me to have one-on-one sessions. And took very little. I got an email from a teacher. His name is Jim Driver, and he's an author also. And then he was offering awakening sessions, so that's what I wanted, right? So I gave him a call, and he was living very close by. I was in Santa Monica, and he was living a few blocks away. So perfect, and he was even willing to go to our apartment. So he began to come home once a week, and we were having this interesting conversation and some gazing. He's big into gazing, right? So at the same time, I began to do a routine or a ritual that I think played a role. And the ritual was that before meditation in the morning, we used to meditate with my wife. I was grabbing a little bit of ormus, which is an alchemical substance, and I was ormus, right? Ormus. So we were taking the ormus and affirming the intention. That's what ormus does. It potentiates the intention. Theoretically, I don't know if it's true, but I was doing it. So I was getting the ormus and saying, I want to wake up. I want to wake up. This was every day, right? And this happened for about 6 months. And one day, Jim came to the session, and we were talking on. We had a deck that was looking towards the ocean, and when I looked, I was able to see something that I had seen many times, which was that there was perceiving happening, right? There was the perceiving of the ocean and the birds flying and the beach. There was obviously perceiving. I could notice that there was perceiving. But I was looking for the perceiver behind, right? I wanted to find the perceiver, and I thought if I find the perceiver, I will find awakening. So I tried to kind of turn the attention backwards, but I couldn't. Once more, I couldn't. So you can do this right now. You can see that there is perceiving of this room, but when you try to find the perceiver and try to turn this perception backwards, you can't. There's nothing behind. So I tried, and it didn't work. One more time, it didn't work. So this time I asked Jim, and I said, Jim, you know, this is what is happening. I have tried it several times, and I recognize that there is perceiving here, but when I try to find the perceiver behind, I can't find anything. And then he turned towards me, and he had a very fast answer that I don't know where it came from, but he said, the perceiver is a story. And I got it. I understood that the perceiver is a story of our language. What means is this. Language is organized as subject, verb, and object. Nature is not. Nature is organized as verb and object, not subject. There's one subject. It's just universe. It's the only subject. So I realized that I was looking for something that is not there. That's why I couldn't find it. And then the next step was very simple, was to realize that this perceiving that was happening, this consciousnessing, was consciousness. It's just that it's a verb. It's more a verb than a noun. And then at that moment I said, so this, which is kind of non-dual, there was an immediate recognition, yes, it's not positive or negative, it's just perceiving. It's always going on. It's going on 24/7. Never stops, right? Everything else comes and goes in your experience, but this perceiving is constant. So awareness is the only constant in your life. And I would call it awarenessing, because it's a verb. It's the only constant in your life. And it's a non-dual constant. It's the formless God within, the formless divine within. the formless, divine, universal consciousness within. And then the next thought that came was, well, I went to look for God in my early youth when I was in my 20s, and I found it. I know what it is. It's that which is looking, right? What is looking through us, that's God. And the scriptures, are telling us all the time this. They say, look for God within. Don't look without. Don't look for it outside. It's within. It's so obvious. God is what is looking through our eyes. I would like to add that the next thought that came in was, then I don't exist. And that thought was very liberating. Because when you realize, when the realization comes, I don't exist as Gian, my original name is in Spanish, it's Juan Pablo. And then I changed it for Gian, and neither exist, none of these personalities are real. They are personalities. Personality in Greek means mask. It's the mask that the divine puts to interact with the world. But it's not real. It's a mask. So that thought, when that thought came in, it was like, wow, this is amazing, because I have devoted so much time to this persona, trying to get certificates or degrees, diplomas, university degrees, money, success, all the things that I pursued during my youth to make this persona more, right? And it was useless. It doesn't even exist. That is not a real thing, right? So that was very liberating.